Orange's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Alright folks, here we are, watching the RedBull ECL 2013. We just watched a series about an hour or two ago between ERH and NA. Here we are watching RisingStars and Orange. So this is the ECL Group C play. On Beyond the Summit 2, we'll be covering the group stages, both in Groups C and Groups D. And these are, I would say, the two favorites to advance out of this group. Going to the LAN finals, July 12th through 14th. Those will be covered on the primary Beyond the Summit stream from Beyond the Summit Studios in California. Today, your group stage is being covered by me, Vikramond. I am in Chicago in the USA. It is 6:58 a.m. and I am good to watch these two teams. Two teams advance from each group. They will go to the LAN finals with teams like LGD, IG, all the big names, as well as, of course, Tongfu, who are already advanced out of the group, I believe, Group B, along with Royal, if memory serves. So, Orange and RisingStars, definitely the favorites to come out of this group, and this first game between them may indeed settle a lot. Matches in the RedBull ECL 2013 are best of 3, so Orange or RisingStars will have to defeat the other 2 times, not just best of 1, so we'll have to see if they sort of decide to deploy pocket picks or if they just play standard. Orange, of course, in a vacuum, probably the favored team. One of the Southeast Asian teams that was directly invited to TI3. RisingStars, meanwhile, had to play in the Eastern qualifier. They did not end up qualifying. They performed very ably, in my opinion, ended up, I think, placing 4th in the qualifying rounds, but not quite to the point of being able to either directly qualify like LGD or get into the Seattle runoff against Quantic the way that Rattlesnakes did. Nonetheless, RisingStars is a team that has great potential, in my opinion. One of the earliest teams to adopt the IO in the Eastern scene. So you can see Orange actually first phase banning IO to people who have only really watched Western Dota, Europeans, Americans play. You may think, oh, right, it's a first phase IO ban. No real surprise here, but it actually is somewhat surprising to see it between Chinese and Southeast Asian teams as a ban in the first phase. But here it makes perfect sense, because RisingStars do deploy this hero very frequently. They use it with all sorts of different stuff. The Phantom Assassin is something we've seen. Sometimes they just take it for fun. Not for fun, obviously, to fit into an overarching strategy, but they take it in some situations that you wouldn't even see the most IO-loving teams out in the West pick up. Orange, meanwhile, for their first 2 pickups, they take Shadow Demon and Sand King. Sand King, of course, a very popular hero among Southeast Asian teams. If he's able to land a timely level 5 or even a timely level 6, Sand King can be utterly devastating to a team with the power of Epicenter, with the power of his Burrow Strike that starts at a very low range but really scales to become very, very impressive later on. So, Sand King definitely a strong hero. He actually did receive a buff in 6.78, a small buff, but a fairly substantial one nonetheless. His Sandstorm now has a 1.5 second invisibility delay at every level. So essentially what that means is that even if you tap that W key, it's almost like a short little stealth period where for 1.5 seconds absolutely no one can see what it is you're doing on that Sand King. And so that's actually a pretty strong buff. It does improve him substantially in the lane. If you stand at certain angles, like if you try to come in through the trees, you can actually mask your approach by using Sandstorm, then walking forward for those 1.5 seconds. Especially if you have fairly early boots for a support, you can really try to make something happen with that, and it can be very, very successful. RisingStars, meanwhile, they lock up a Queen of Pain and a Lifestealer. They are playing with aliases, so I'm not 100% clear on if this is RStars' full roster. They are all tagged, but I see Super, I see Air, and I see XDD. These are all their standard players, but I'm not 100% sure. I tried to check before the game, but couldn't really find whether or not 123 and Dreamy U are actually Mofi and Xiao Tuji, or if they aren't. Of course, Xiao Tuji, typically their carry player. So I'm not actually sure. If someone has some enlightenment about that for me, I'd love to hear about it in chat, as I did try to do the research, but I know that they're a team that's been considering making a few changes to how they approach. Obviously, since they're not going to TI3, they're not locked to a roster. If you are a TI3 team, you cannot change roster between now and August, but if you aren't, as RisingStars are not, you have a shot to try to change something up. So possibly this reflects a roster change, possibly not. But their core around Super, this is not, of course, the Super that's on DK. It's two different people, both named Super. Just something to keep in mind. Not as big of a deal here as if they were playing against DK, of course. And they take the Lifestealer and the Queen of Pain. Lifestealer, even with the open wounds change, still an extremely popular hero, still highly valued by all sorts of teams.
5 seconds remaining.
And so definitely not a tremendous surprise to actually see him picked up here. So,
Reserve time.
Queen of Pain, meanwhile, does give them one of the most solid mid options. She's a hero whose popularity waxes and wanes, but she's always present, basically. It's rare that Queen of Pain just gets completely ignored, simply because she's able to dominate the mid lane in a way that few other heroes actually can. She does, of course, have Blink for rune control. Rune control has gotten a little more important with the changes to Bottle. Now that Bottle Crow does give you less mana, it's just not as quite... You just don't get the same amount of stream of incoming sustainability as you used to, now that that courier has been slowed down when it's carrying an empty bottle. So, Queen of Pain, any sort of change to Bottle Crowing improves the situation. I don't know why somebody's non-stop pinging the map. That's quite annoying. Sorry about that, folks. Nonetheless, Queen of Pain, she can really dominate mid more the more sort of variance there is, and they take Chaos Knight, so this is an interesting choice. Of course, IO not available for RisingStars here, but they will just take a CK. This presents the opportunity of running either Lifestealer or Chaos Knight in a solo safe capacity, and the other one is the anchor of an aggressive tri-lane. The issue, I think, for our stars is that they really don't have the supports just yet. Rubik, of course, banned out. IO, Nyx Assassin, Visage, both banned out by our stars in the first phase. So they actually don't have that deep of a pool of supports to go with the Chaos Knight. They do have one more pick before we head into the last pick phase. Keep in mind this is the 6.78 Captain's Mode picking order. 2, 2, and 1 rather than 3 and 2. So they have an opportunity to snag one support now and then one support in the next phase. One that could really work is Leshrac. It would give them a lot more pushing potential. Also a follow-up stun for Chaos Knight. Another option is Lina, still in the pool. Also a great follow-up stun for Chaos Knight that really buffers out the amount of stun and the amount of damage that you can deal in this tri-lane. So I wouldn't be tremendously surprised to see either of these two heroes come out, because they really need to start filling out this tri-lane if it contains the Chaos Knight, even if it contains the Lifestealer. If they do decide to run an aggressive try and run the Lifestealer, now you need some way of guaranteeing that open wounds will hit. Of course, its range used to be 600, now it's 200 through 500 at the last rank. So most likely we're going to see our stars, if they do decide to run a Lifestealer lane, it's going to have some slow in it. And they pick Enchantress, so they know that Orange aren't running junglers, because you have the Shadow Demon and Sand King already coming out, and now Faceless Void on top of it. So most likely this could be an offensive tri-lane with Enchantress in the doing incursions into Orange's jungle. So I actually think that would be a pretty strong option. Since the jungle will be mostly unimpeded, you can particularly take advantage of the leftmost dire jungle camp, pick up a big creep from it every so often, and just continually pressure and gank the lane. So that's certainly an option for our stars. They also have the option of possibly running the Lifestealer solo hard, and then the Chaos Knight with another support and the Enchantress in the Radiant jungle. That's the safer option for Enchantress. It's less likely that Orange actually disrupt her jungle. But the flip side of that, of course, is that it doesn't nearly give as good of a lane for the Lifestealer. He'll actually, I won't say he'll struggle, but he may have a tough time actually getting any sort of farm, and even maybe being pressured a little bit as far as leveling goes in that hard lane if he goes solo. So to me, this still feels like an aggressive try. I like the Vengeful Spirit Band from Orange with a multi-core approach that our stars are taking. Percentage damage boost to all of your sort of carry heroes, the Lifestealer, the Chaos Knight, even the Enchantress, frankly, could actually end up being a big deal. RStars with a really high damage output lineup here, and I really think that they will seek to punish Orange fairly early, especially with this Faceless Void. The TA ban pretty strong as well. One of those heroes that actually can stand up to some extent to Queen of Pain, especially with excellent timing on Meld to dodge out the Shadow Strike. And so banning this out pushes Orange into a position where their mid might not be able to counter-pressure RStars. So for instance, let's say I have Templar Assassin, and she has a fairly comfortable laning presence in the early game. What you can do with that is then, and Puck is the response from Orange, so that makes sense. Puck, another hero that can duel Queen of Pain okay in the middle lane, as well as the fact that Puck can generate ganking opportunities with Sand King and Shadow Demon. If Orange can use these 4 heroes to create a lot of space for Faceless Void to farm, then I think they'll be in fantastic shape. If they don't, Lich. Okay. So, RStars, they pick up a Lich. This is a fairly unusual selection on their part. So this actually opens up quite a few possibilities. One is that they could actually run dual lanes with maybe Lich and Lifestealer top and Enchantress in the jungle and Chaos Knight. I mean, the thing about Lich is that he denies quite a bit of incoming experience to the opposing team in whatever lane he's in. And that's just a function of the fact that he has the sacrifice. He can just take away XP from the opposing team trivially easily by cutting out one creep from basically every other creep wave. Cooldown, of course, going down as you level it. That said, they could also still run the aggressive try. They could do something like Lich Lifestealer with Enchantress in the Dire jungle. So they could attempt to do a little bit of pressure that way. I keep forgetting to switch over to the default HUD. That's my mistake. Let's take down the span pick overlay. Put these up. And here we go. Let's go ahead and introduce the teams. RStars, they are running this interesting lineup with the Lich. They could run dual mid Lich with this Chaos Knight. Maybe that's what we'll see as well. Let's take a look at what they're doing. Air on the Chaos Knight. XDD on the Lich. Right now, look, going towards mid, so that may be indeed what they go for. Then we have 1, 2, 3, so I'm not 100% sure if there actually is Mofi or even Xiao Tuji playing on this character, but nonetheless, he is up on the Lifestealer. Bottom lane, we've got Dreamy You, which could be Mofi, could be Xiao Tuji, on the Queen of Pain, and Super on the Enchantress. So it does look like Enchantress in the Radiant jungle, Queen of Pain bottom, then XDD dual midding with Chaos Knight in the mid on Lich, and Lifestealer solo top. And really, I'm going to look to see how Lifestealer is actually going to do here, because he could get pressured very, very heavily. He may do okay. It's tough to say. He does, of course, have this Rage that will prevent him from getting ganked too badly, as long as he isn't taken by surprise. Meanwhile, looking towards Orange, definitely playing with their full roster. We've got Ohio in the bottom on the Darkseer. In the middle, we have Mushi on this Puck. We'll have to see how explosive Mushi's play is this game. He is, of course, a very mercurial player in some respects. He'll be very, very big some games not so much. Extinct on the Sand King. Net on the Shadow Demon. And then KYXY on the Faceless Void, the hard carry, trying to farm this game out and just dominating RStars. And if this gets late, he will dominate. I mean, there's really nothing on RStars' lineup that really stands up to a Chaos Knight in the late, middle, and late game. I mean, maybe Lifestealer, but even then the Chronosphere comes up and Lifestealer may well be dead before he has a chance to fulfill his epidem, before he has a chance to steal any of Faceless Void's life. Not to mention, of course, backtrack, avoiding those big Lifestealer hits, avoiding Feast from proccing can make a huge difference. And so KYXY, the story of this game is really, can Mushi and company really generate the space for KYXY to get farm on Faceless Void? And it's entirely possible that they will, but RStars has their work cut out for them as well. Here's actually a disruption already coming out. Just going to do a bit of harassment on Lifestealer here. Try to get him out of the lane if at all possible. You know that Lifestealer went Rage first. Like, you have a guarantee if you're Shadow Demon that you're not going to get open wounds on you. And look how much they're zoning this Lifestealer out already. I mean, they know that he doesn't have open wounds, and so they know that they don't have to worry about that slow on their heroes, and so just so much pressure already. You can see KYXY almost just diving onto 123's Lifestealer here, just just to put that pressure on, and it makes perfect sense from Orange's perspective. This is a difficult solo lane for Lifestealer to actually survive in. We'll see how much pressure X and Net actually generate here. Meanwhile, Ohio actually taking a tremendous amount of damage in his own right. He's only at 90 HP. One more Enchantress hit. Of course, she's nowhere near having the levels to level Impetus, but nonetheless effective zoning in both solo lanes. So the Darkseer, he does already have 7 last hits, but here comes RStars again with this dual lane continually pressuring Ohio. A little bit of juking and jiving. He actually manages to make sure that the War Stomp from the Centaur doesn't land. I mean, that War Stomp could have been highly consequential, and instead, Ohio, nice little bit of juking there. Excellent display of skill on his part. Looking up towards the middle lane, it is a dual lane against Mushi, so RStars definitely is going to try to... Oh, I did miss First Blood. I'm sorry about that, folks. Up in the top, Lifestealer does get brought down, so Ohio outlasts Lifestealer, at least in the early game, as Lifestealer already taking a fall, just with Tangos and Stout Shield, and I don't think Orange are going to give up harassing at all. Meanwhile, Mushi really chasing XDD here. XDD is quite low. 2 more auto attacks will do the trick. Mushi will have Illusory Orb in about 4 seconds, but he's forced to flee as he's actually quite low himself. He may need to actually salve here. Air with the Reality Rift. There's Mushi's Orb. No stun thrown out. He lacks the mana. He is 2 mana short of being able to cast that Chaos Bolt. Oh, that's a shame. Unfortunately, they are not able to pick off Mushi. He's going to use his Healing Salve and run right out of here. Completely safe, and they don't pick him off. XDD, in fact, very low, having to use the salve himself. And so far, this dual lane really unable to exert that much pressure on this puck. Almost a kill there, but actually almost a kill going the other way, considering... Oh, there's the Reality Rift now. Does Air have this mana? He needs to throw out this orb. He gets the orb. 3-second stun. That's about as lucky as you can get. Lich actually picking up the last hit, and Mushi taking a fall. I was just saying that they weren't quite able to get the pressure, but there we go. They managed to get the kill. RisingStars, they equalize the score at 1-1, and they're going to continue trying to keep Mushi down, especially in this early game. That's what this dual lane needs to do, and nice job there. 3 lanes farming okay for RStars. The Lifestealer, of course, not doing a great job, but even having any last hits and having level 3 is nice. You can just see him trying to sit in XP range of this pulled jungle creep from Orange. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ohio has about 8 last hits now. He's actually not even out leveling the Lifestealer, so Ohio not having the easiest game of his life just yet. Here comes there's the root, there's the stun for the Centaur. Dreamy You, Queen of Pain does pick it up. That's another kill. RStars now up 2-1, so nicely done gank there. The rotation from Super with the Enchantress, of course. Enchantress able to get those 2 creeps much faster than Chen is, at the trade-off of not being able to permanently have those creeps mind-controlled, so the Dark Troll Summoner with that Ensnare is very, very strong against Darkseer, because there's really absolutely nothing that Surge can do against that Ensnare. And that's a very nice pickup for RStars. If they can actually make sure that the Lifestealer outpaces the Darkseer, that would be a big win for them. Nice little creep pull by him here, but it looks like Orange may be seeking to make a rotation. Mushi's coming over with the puck. He is level 4, 2 in Waning Rift, 1 in Orb. He decides not to use his haste runes. They decide not to go in on this Lifestealer. He retreats to the safety of the tier 1 tower. He got the creep pull. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. Yeah, just on the high ground again, trying to soak up, trying to leech that XP a little bit. Mushi, meanwhile, trying to pick off XDD here. 1 more hit. Yes, he gets it, but 3-second stun. Was this worth it? I'm not actually sure. He gets XDD, but once again, the rotation from Enchantress, and that's 2 deaths for Mushi now. I'm not sure, folks. It feels like maybe he's playing a little bit too aggressively, considering he's facing up against a dual mid with the potential for Enchantress to come right out of the jungle and contribute as well. So he'll have to return right back to this lane, right back where he came from. Now the good news for Orange, even with 2 deaths on Mushi, even with the horrible luck that they've had with these Chaos Bolt stuns, KYXY on the top, as Faceless Void, farming just fine. He actually is going for that pure farming. You see he has the Boots of Speed, the Poor Man's, and is going to go directly to that Ring of Health. So no time to waste. He's going to build that Battle Fury and really start the farm train rolling. Battle Fury doesn't increase your farm on Void quite as much as it ramps it on, of course, Anti-Mage, but it's good enough. There's the Reality Rift. They want Mushi once again. The phase shift, the short teleport. There's the Waning Rift, but here comes the Chaos Bolt any second now. The Chaos Bolt actually gets the last hit, and a tremendous amount of pressure being generated on Mushi here, folks. That's now 3 deaths for his Pokken. Mushi might have some trouble actually getting himself into this fight. This has, of course, generated a little bit of space for Ohio to actually level more on this Dark Series. Now halfway through level 4, Enchantress covering the exits, super, with this DD rune. Now he uses the enchant on Ohio. He wants to chase. Lifesteal is down, but we're going to keep watching this actually Dark Series. Yes, the Surge is back up. Couldn't quite rotate his creeps over in time. And a second death on the Lifestealer. That's probably the worst news for RisingStars, of course, is that Lifestealer is having a hell of a time up here. Now 0-2 for his own, but getting most of the way through level 4. So not a great situation. There's the Chaos Bolt. Mushi successfully phase shifts it. Bit of a speculative bolt there. If he, as long as he had the phase shift, he was fine. Mushi's gonna turn this right around. There's the Waning Rift. 2 more hits on XDD will do the trick. Yes, he's down. 1 kill for Mushi. Finally on the board. Well, rather, two kills because he got XDD before. So, that equalizes the kill score at 4-4 with that kill on Lifestealer just moments ago. And so Mushi, even with the 3 deaths, I would say he's holding his own. Only 14 last hits, but could be doing far worse. Here comes the Tornado from the Wildkin, the Wild Wing Creep, I should say, from Enchantress, going to continue trying to pressure Mushi. It really feels like our stars are focusing almost all of their energy on controlling Mushi this game. Maybe they feel that because he is the most explosive member of Orange, he's the one most able to get them a win, or at least put them in the position where Void can get the win in this game. Smoke picked up for Chaos Knight, so possibly our RisingStars continuing to try to make things happen around the map here. Lifestealer, meanwhile, continuing to just low ground leech that XP, try to get his levels up. He's halfway through level 5 now, so doing okay. Ohio, meanwhile, stunned. There's the Smoke Gank paying off. The Queen of Pain Sonic Wave will finish off the Darkseer, and that's a nice, actually, they didn't even use the smoke for that, just a little bit of a TP rotation from Air, and so Air has been doing work here, 1-0-3, participating in 80% of our stars' kills. Only the kill at bottom of that Ohio actually fell to the Enchantress, did Chaos Knight not participate on. And a little bit of a rotation from our stars here, maybe rotating Chaos Knight to more of a roaming ganker role, with Lifestealer now actually picking up a little bit of free farm in that mid. There's Mushi, actually, he used his orb! This is a good early warning system, so he may get out of this alive yet. Will the Reality Rift come through? They don't feel comfortable. They don't want to dive that tier 2 just yet. Just going to use these Center Conquerors for now to generate a little bit of pressure on that mid lane tier 1. XDD, continuing to level up this Lich. He's actually had pretty good levels considering his dual lane. He's not, of course, stuck in something like a safe lane tri-lane situation. He was in that duel halfway through level 5 himself, so getting to that Frost Nova. There's Mushi with the ultimate. Waning Rift, XDD already in trouble, just soaking up a little bit of damage. Our stars, 1, 2, 3, trying to get away from this fight as well on the Lifestealer, but meanwhile, the fight develops in the middle. There's some AoE coming through. Queen of Pain with a kill already, but Chaos Knight on the ground. Lifestealer finally chased down by KOXY. Super disengaging. Not a great fight for RisingStars just yet. Of course, the Chronosphere used to secure that kill on the Lifestealer, but in the end, Orange responding well. They came right in. They managed to get the kills, and 6-6 now the kill line, with 53 for 15 last hits for the Faceless Void. Perseverance, not quite at his Battle Fury yet, and of course that was a little bit of a distraction for KYXY, but it was smart to rotate as much as they did into that middle lane. It made perfect sense. And Ohio now returning to the bottom lane with a little bit of a reprieve bot, of course. Now that they took care of the Chaos Knight, the pressure is a little bit off of this Darkseer. He can move towards his mechanism, headdress already complete for it, and not have to be too concerned. He does TP out, so TPing actually back home to get some more, it looks like, just a little bit more mana so he can actually sustain. Let's look at the items that what our stars are building. So, 2 bottles up for the Queen of Pain in the bottom lane, which is continually harassing the Darkseer. Of course, Chaos Knight, that as a matter of course. A couple treads out, nothing really too atypical so far. Lifestealer really is the main thing that he really doesn't have much in the way of items at all, but that's no surprise considering it was a solo hard Lifestealer. I think actually that solo lane could have gone much worse for our stars, and now they're attempting to guarantee this Lifestealer farm by putting him in more safe situations, but XDD in trouble again. Here comes the Epicenter from X, the Frost Nova in response, but it won't really hit players that much, mostly just going on creeps, but it does! It loops back around to X, it hits Mushi already down, X extremely low, Extinct will get out of this fight. but this is a trade of Mushi for a Lich. That is really not favorable for Orange. 1 for 1, but nonetheless, RisingStars getting the balance of that engagement, if you ask me. They may try to seek to parlay this into a tier 1 tower. The Hellbear Smasher is here to tank the damage of the tower for a while. Probably going to use the AoE of it before it dies. No, they don't. Could have helped them clear out that creep wave as well, at least, but RisingStars backing off for the time being while KYXY continues to farm up. Actually, the tier 1 tower went down. He actually is only about 1200 away from that Battle Fury. This is a perfectly scheduled time. I mean, this Void is farming extremely well, about 440 average GPM over the entire period of the game. Probably a little higher than that in the last minute or two. So we expect him to get that Battle Fury in the next 2 to 3 minutes. That'll be a 13.5, 14-minute Battle Fury. Extremely respectable time, considering the fact that that's their plan, right? Their plan is to get that Void up to the point that they really don't worry about it. Chaos Knight, meanwhile, smoked up. He's trying to root around, try to pick up a kill somewhere. Rotating, trying to find that opportunity. Keep in mind, Queen of Pain is smoked up as well. They'll find Extinct. He uses the stealth. Sandstorm, keep in mind, 1.5 full seconds. There's Mushi. Nice Waning Rift, nice Dream Coil. There's the stun from Extinct. They'll clean this up. Air using his ultimate, trying to get away with the Phantasm. No. 2 quick kills. Nice rotation around from Mushi. And Mushi and Extinct, really, that was just the Sand King baiting our RisingStars into standing in a very uncomfortable position for the Queen of Pain and the Chaos Knight. Immediately cleaned up, and Orange right now just looking like they are a little bit outsmarting RisingStars in this mid-game. Earlier on, I mean, it was tough. It seemed like RisingStars would get some of it. Here comes Chronosphere, possibly from KYXY, already bashing on XD. He doesn't want to use it if he doesn't have to. Puck actually gets the last hit, and Mushi, even with the amount of effort that RisingStars went to hold this character down early, he still is managing to get these Waning Rifts and get these Dream Coils turned around. Here comes Lifestealer to come back into the fight. Orb already out from Mushi. He goes southeast while the rest of his team goes northeast. KYXY taking a bit of damage. Keep in mind, they still have Chronosphere. They just used Time Walk to get out. Complete disengagement from Orange and moving in 2 different directions just to make sure that our stars had to choose whom to pursue. They chose the team rather than Mushi, and they couldn't find anything in that pursuit. Super, no creeps currently charmed from the Enchantress. They do have a little bit of push potential even without him, but it's substantially less. They can get this tower easy since it's very, very low. Actually, KYXY at the Chronosphere, the Epicenter comes through, and my god, our stars, already their 2 main heroes on the ground. They'll have to disengage if they can at all afford to do so. Super being chased by Mushi. There's the Frost Nova. Chain back onto X, chain back onto Mushi, but Extinct is in his Sandstorm. Mushi doesn't go down quite yet. Nice phase shift in Orb. How is he still alive? Nothing on the ground for Orange. They managed to pick off 4 of our stars. It's just XTD in Ohio, almost coming into chasing with that surge, choosing not to. All RisingStars get out of that as a tier 1 tower, while Orange gets a tier 1 tower and 4 kills. Again and again, these AoE ultimates from Orange are making themselves felt. That Epicenter, that Waning Rift, Dream Coil, and the Chronosphere there. KYXY, an unusually active Faceless Void in this early game, and it's paid off. 2-0-3, finishing off his Battle Fury even though he wasn't farming for the past couple of minutes. Very excellent play coming out from Orange. Good coordination, especially in that last fight. Really punishing RisingStars for a little bit of overreach, a little bit of mispositioning. I feel that RisingStars in the very early game actually pulled it together pretty well. But since then, Orange has just been controlling the team fights, really outplaying them in those team fight situations. And you can see the Void's net worth already pulling away. And even Mushi, with those early 3 deaths, now up to 7, 4, and 4, secures up his Blink Dagger actually even before Boots, and he's ahead of where Queen of Pain is at, substantially ahead of where Chaos Knight is at. This is problematic for RisingStars. You really want enough of an advantage that the eventual matter of the Faceless Void is resolved before it becomes an issue, but I would say that's not the case at all. His Battle Fury is on the way coming to him from the Courier right this very minute, and Mushi just being a bully, running in, silencing air, and then getting out with really nothing to show for it from the side of the Chaos Knight. A little bit of rotation. Dark Troll Summoner is available. Maybe Super can micro this into something, but he sees 3 heroes. He sees that he has to peel off. Mushi running into a little bit of trouble here. He will orb out. Super has used his heal, so he may want to do an engagement. Some impetus is being thrown out on net. They're going to maybe try to chase. Here comes KYXY. Another Chronosphere. Catches 2. Here comes Mushi. The orb runs through. Mushi's in. They're still trying to chase 1 on the ground already. Queen of Pain doing what she can. A 3-second stun on Faceless Void. Waning Rift will actually flub, but the Sonic Wave only on 1. Reality Rift doesn't catch Mushi. He orbs back. They're continuing to still try to fight, but Lifestealer, you don't have what it takes, my friend. He's probably got to infest. That'll get him some, at least XP back. Some hit points back. XDD forced to disengage as well. Frost Nova is still available, but Mushi wants to chase. There's the stun and the Waning Rift to take care of the Lich. Lifestealer doing his best. Here comes the Rage TP. He gets bashed! Void bashes him right through that TP attempt. Lifestealer forced to disengage the hard way. Mushi still chasing. He's going to still try to pick up that Lifestealer. Air has engaged. He stuns Net for 3 seconds. Hardly matters. No way this Chaos Knight survives, or will he? He actually retreats to the safety of the Tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, KYXY does actually pick up the Chaos Knight. Oh no, Epicenter to punish the Queen of Pain. It looks like Queen of Pain may still run away, but Extinct, he's actually surprisingly fast. They can't catch this Queen of Pain, but that'll probably be the end of the fight. Not a good fight for RisingStars in the end. They kill Mushi, but he is still zoning them so hard. If there wasn't a Tier 1 tower here, I actually see that being calamitous for RisingStars. As is, something less than calamitous, but still not a fantastic trade. They're really just getting pressured again and again by Mushi, and keep in mind, Extinct on this Sand King has not died. He's gotten the levels. He's actually well on the way to his level 2 ultimate. This Sand King, level 9. He's actually tied for the 3rd highest level on his team, and ahead of both the Chaos Knight and the Lifestealer, as well as complete with a blink. Like, look at how well the Sand King is doing, and tell me this isn't exactly what you want when you pick Sand King, is for a performance like this. And of course the mechanism also available for Orange in a way that it just isn't for RisingStars. I mean, RisingStars have an urn, but nothing like a mechanism. Queen of Pain just going towards that BKB. Completely agree with this choice. It's absolutely necessary against the puck. Otherwise, Queen of Pain just ends up being silenced a lot in these fights. And a very long team fight there, and it looks like RisingStars may go for another, but I'm not sure this is actually a favorable engagement for them. The question is, do they have much choice but to engage? And the answer might be no. There's the reality of Air actually traps himself in trees. He's completely stuck by his own Chaos Knight illusions. That's the worst thing to happen when you Reality Rift X with the last hit with that Burrow Strike. Ohio using his mechanisms to stay up. Doesn't live for very long, just a 1-for-1 trade so far. Mushi in No Man's Land still has the phase shift, still has the orb. Meanwhile, KYXY, he's got Chronosphere once again. Lux 2 somehow even gets Super. Lifestealer already on the ground. Super on this Enchantress, now in trouble. Another Burrow Strike from the Sand King. That's an Enchantress dead. Queen of Pain forced to disengage. Nothing happening in that fight for her. Not even the level 2 ultimate thrown out. And Orange taking more and more control with every passing engagement. This extremely active Faceless Void from KYXY doing work again and again. Just holding a Battle Fury, but the Chronosphere has been so important in every fight. Super just trying to defend with creeps here, but no way they prevent this Tier 1 tower from going down. KYX actually misses that last hit a little bit less. Not really able to actually secure up that last hit for himself, but still a decent amount of gold picked up for them. And a lot of pressure now. Orange probably feel comfortable 5-manning at this point. Once they deflected the early pressure on Mushi, sure, he started 1-3, but now he's 8-5. Just look at these records. No deaths on Void, no deaths on Sand King, and Mushi, even with a bunch of deaths, he's just been tanking for his team. Here they come in the middle. Epicenter actually used to secure up Air. They want to make sure that this Chaos Knight does not enter this fight. Look at how desperate this Chaos Knight is for survivability. Only level 9, 2 bracers. It's rare that we see 2 bracers on a core hero like this. Much more typically seen as a support build, but that's the desperation that our stars find themselves in this game. Super, meanwhile, just trying to farm away on this Enchantress. Really not much in the way of farm for him either. I mean, he's got this Tier 1 boots, probably wants to build that into a Tier 2 before anything else, and Lifestealer trying to wend his way back into the game as well. He, of course, has these phase boots up, but that's about it. In fact, he has nothing else other than bracers. When you see the amount of bracers on our stars' team here, I mean, it's just 4 bracers is more than you want, especially when 3 of those are on your core heroes. Certainly, obviously, one of those bracers will get turned into a drum, but the second drum, the third drum, they're a little bit less useful. Orange, meanwhile, look at just where they are. Between the Tier 2 bottom and the Tier 2 top towers, Orange feels like they can control this map completely, and so far this our star's really unable to do anything to prove them wrong. Our Dark Troll Summoner picked up for Super, but it's actually in the last bit of its life already, and actually Chronosphere just to lock down Air again. They're completely pounding this Chaos Knight XDD, walking into the end of that Chronosphere. There's Impetus. Maybe they can make something happen here. Defensive Disruption on KYXY. Where is the Frost Nova? Actually, KYXY just time walks away. He might TP out. Lifestealer doing his best. No, nothing happens for him. All they'll get is a Shadow Demon for their efforts. That's unfortunate. Chaos Knight for Shadow Demon. It's better than nothing, but it's not a great trade. And Orange maybe seeking to punish some more. Extinct coming in. Keep in mind he's got this Blink Dagger. He actually, I think, has his, no, Epicenter cooldown not up, but here comes Puck. Dream Coil, locking down Queen of Pain already. Oh my god, did you guys see that Burrow Strike? Frost Nova coming through only hits Ohio because Mushi managed to phase shift it. Wow, I just want to talk about that Burrow Strike some more. A double kill picked up. He Burrow Struck through Super on his way to Queen of Pain, and that's what an early rank 4 Burrow Strike can do. It can just generate tremendous positioning advantage. And Extinct, he's been playing his heart out on this Sand King. 5-0-11 now, participating in 16 out of 24 fights. Mask of Madness picked up for Void, and this just reflects how active KYXY has been playing this, how aggressive he's been playing this. And if there's any hope for Rising Stars, it has to revolve around just using these last remaining outer towers to get some farm. They've got lots of heroes that need farm, and they absolutely need to try to get them back into this fight. Phase Boots Void is not enough. He's not going to get anything done. He absolutely needs another big item. It doesn't matter whether it's Armlet or something else. It probably should be Armlet, though. Maybe Drums, even, for a little bit more cost efficiency. They need to spend their gold any way they can, while Orange just continues to clean up. Look how Roshan is almost being auto-bashed by Void, even at an early period of time. That's what Mask of Madness can give you. I mean, it gives you attack speed, it gives you move speed. Sure, it makes you less tanky, but Orange clearly feeling confident that they do not need the tankiness. If you just look at levels, the Lifestealer, the Chaos Knight, still really struggling. Lifestealer, lower level than Darkseer, same level as Net. Chaos Knight, Air, same level as Ohio, lower than Extinct. And this is really the tail of the tape for them. Mushi, meanwhile, just so deep in enemy territory here. My god, this Puck. I mean, he's trying to do... He's actually, I mean, he's perfectly safe. That's the thing with this Blink Dagger. 1,900 gold on top of that. RStars just trying to push up top, trying to 5-man. The question is, do they even have a 5-man advantage at this point? We're going to test the theory as Extinct actually charging up his Epicenter. He wants to get this started. There's the Blink Dagger. There's the Epicenter, and they are taking down all of Rising Stars. It's as if there was no one there. The Chronosphere just to clean up, and that'll be the GG call from RStars, as that was just a furious Sand King with the level 2 ultimate, diving in and just blowing up an enemy team with no way of dealing with it. Queen of Pain never even quite getting to the point of finishing that BKB. Chaos Knight, not even a BKB in his plans. Rising Stars dismantled by Orange in this game. After a laning phase that I actually thought they did okay in, they just took a few engagements that maybe they shouldn't have and got substantially outplayed by Orange's impeccable use of their AoE ultimates in every fight, including some excellent Chronospheres from KYXY. We'll stick around to watch the post-game screen for just a second, because we do want to see what everybody's stats end up at. But Orange, heading into Game 2 of the series in the ECL, definitely looking like very, very strong, really at the peak of their powers, and RStars still not quite finding, I still not quite finding the groove that I think they'd want to look for. Faceless Void, really solid game for KYXY, but really this is all about Sand King. Look at these Sand King stats and tell me that Orange isn't a terrifying team for any team to play against in any league, and certainly one of the favorites, at least for group stage performance, in this, the ECL. RedBull ECL 2013. We'll head up to Game 2 of Orange versus RStars in just a minute. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back here on Beyond the Summit 2.